Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Secretary, could you call the roll?
Chairman Dove.
Present.
Mr. Davidson. Secretary Bosworth.
Present.
Mr. Lane.
Present.
Ms. Melius. Mr. Alford.
Here.
President Jewell.
Present.
Mr. Gao. Mr. Jordan. Mr. Bourgeois. Mr. Hidalgo.
Here.
Mr. Carville. Mr. Lane.
Here.
Mr. Richard.
Here.
Mr. Segrera. Mr. Romero.
Here.
President Hinckley. Representative Zerain. Senator Henskins. You have a quorum.
Okay, thank you, Madam Secretary. Now, if all mics are on, all you have to do is push that button, and then you'll be live. With that, approval of the agenda, do I have a motion? Tony Alford, second by Bill Hidalgo, all in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, that motion passes. Approval of the minutes, we have a motion.
A motion.
Motion, Matt Jewell, second. Keith Hinckley, all in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none opposed?
It's at the beginning.
Old business announcements, any members like to announce anything?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You ready?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Bill Hidalgo.
I'd like to do my little two-word call again of 70-30. How important the 30% split is to the Atchafalaya, both for dredging reasons and for flooding control. And we know it's being studied and contemplated at this time. And with the general here today, we appreciate that. We just want to continue to say that, we do have a battle cry. Our battle cry is 70-30. We need to protect our people in the parishes, especially the ones that are impacted by waters that come from the Marganza and go to the Gulf. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hidalgo. And for about over a decade, the two words was Bayou Shane, so we built that. So we move on, huh, Bill? Okay, with that, we have a presentation to Major General Peoples, and then we'll give read by Mr. Tony Alford.
All right. Commendation from Jeff Landry, the governor. Whereas the mission of the United States Army Corps of Engineers, Mississippi Valley, the vision is to advance the nation's interest by delivering vital engineering services in collaboration with its partners for flood, hurricane, and storm damage risk reduction, navigation, ecosystem stewardship, emergency operations, and support to national security. And whereas Major General Peoples assumed command of the Mississippi Valley Division on July 12, 2023. Since then, she has served as the senior military officer in the division, headquartered in Vicksburg, Mississippi, and is responsible for water resources, engineering solutions in a 370,000 square mile area extended from Canada to the Gulf of America and encompassing portions of 12 states. The division serves the Mississippi Valley region by providing vital public engineering services and stewardship of water resource infrastructure, partnering in peace and war, strengthening our nation's security, energizing the economy, and reducing disaster-related risk. The work is carried out by 6 district offices located in St. Paul, Minnesota, Rock Island, Illinois, St. Louis, Memphis, Tennessee, Vicksburg, Mississippi, and New Orleans. And whereas she served as commanding general of the Great Lakes and Ohio Rivers Division beginning in June 2021. During her command, Peoples was responsible for delivering engineering and water resource solutions for the Great Lakes and Ohio River region, which covers 335,000 square miles and encompasses portions of 17 states. And whereas during Major General Peoples' tenure, the Corps made major progress on significant projects to protect and restore communities in coastal Louisiana, including continued construction on the West Shore Lake Pontchartrain and major milestones on projects such as South to the Gulf and the river reintroduction into Marpole Swamp. And whereas her numerous accomplishments, including oversight of federal investment and advancing project milestones, while commander of the Mississippi Valley Division, have resulted in Louisiana being a better, safer, and more prosperous place than she found it. Now, therefore, I, Jeff Landry, Governor of the State of Louisiana, do hereby commend and congratulate Major General Kimberly A. Peoples for her tenure as commander of the Mississippi Valley Division.
Well, the next time I need to like have everybody review it. At least we didn't keep Colonel Murphy there.
And then with that, any other comments from the board? Any other comments? Seeing none. Review of the United States Army Corps of Engineers work in the Mississippi Valley Division. Major General Kimberly Peoples, United States Army Corps of Engineers, and Colonel Otan with the Corps of Engineers. Please take a seat. Good morning.
Test. Good morning. Okay, thank you again. What a surprise, and I just, please ask you to pass along my regards to the governor and everyone involved in that presentation. Really means a lot. Thank you. Chairman Dove, members of the board, executive director, thank you for the invitation. It is truly an honor to be back with you. This room feels like being among old friends, but also with deep respect for what you carry on behalf of Louisiana. We've been through a lot together in 3 years. Storms, flood fights, low water, hard decisions, moments where the stakes were real and the consequences even more so. And every time we've come out stronger, more aligned, and more determined to serve. Not just Louisiana, but this great nation. I've learned something important in Louisiana from many of you in this room. If you want to connect, you better understand LSU and have some purple and gold. Whether it's baseball chasing another championship or the energy building around basketball, there is an expectation here to compete, to deliver, and to win. That mindset, that's exactly what I see in this board. Let me tell you what changed for me. I didn't learn Louisiana from a briefing book. I learned it from you. I learned it from listening to your experiences, your challenges, your expectation. I learned it from the air. Flying with the mighty Louisiana National Guard after Hurricane Francine as an example with you children though. We looked down at communities, some protected, some vulnerable, but all resilient. And in that moment, you don't see projects. You see homes, and you see families, and you see communities fighting for their future. I saw something very powerful as well, that Louisiana is not waiting. You are investing, and you're investing in coastal protection, in flood risk reduction, and in your future, and that matters. I think it also matters because it tells a story and a true reality of what you're focused here today and the work of this important board. This is not just a federal mission. This is shared ownership, federal, state, local, industry, individuals, and teams. And what stayed with me most wasn't what I saw, it was what I felt. Looking in your eyes and hearing your voices after a hurricane, during the flood fight, I understood the why. Why this work matters and why water and land management and stewardship matters. And yes, Army Civil Works, what we do every day, our mission, it is about national security, but it's also about something much deeper. This is American ingenuity at its best, and we work with nature, not against it, to engineer solutions to the nation's toughest challenges, and we've been doing it for 250 years. That's why we have to deliver differently. We have to deliver faster and smarter and with urgency. A few weeks ago, we saw something important, something historic, and something strategic. The Secretary of the Army, the Assistant Secretary of the Army for Civil Works, the Chief of Engineers, and your governor visiting our projects. They focused right here on Louisiana, on the Mississippi Valley, and on the Mississippi River and Tributaries Project. I want to thank Governor Landry, CPRA, DOTD, Louisiana National Guard, all involved local media and stakeholders for how you showed up for that visit. You made it real and you made it very, very clear that we are all here to build infrastructure, to operate infrastructure, to maintain infrastructure, not paperwork. At IHNC, at West Shore Lake, and at Old River Control. So I know building infrastructure, not paperwork, resonates in this room because I've seen it in you in action, the urgency and the alignment and the willingness to push us and to push this district. And we are doing this together. Louisiana understands both the challenges and the opportunities. You have a clear vision in your master plan, and you have aligned your institutions to deliver it, specifically for the Corps of Engineers, in CPRA, in DOTD, and in GOSHA. And alignment matters because when we're aligned, federal and state partners, we don't duplicate effort, we build strength and bring strength to the same problem. You bring urgency and local acknowledgement and investment, and we bring national authorities, engineering depth, and capacity. And together, we can and we do deliver better, faster, and cheaper. I've seen it. I also want to recognize, if you would, board the New Orleans district this morning, if you would indulge me, Colonel Scotty Otan, one of your own from Houma with roots that are century deep. Mr. John Elzey, equally invested here and all in, and the broader team of engineers, of PMs, biologists, lawyers, administrative professionals, contracting officers, lock operators, maintenance mechanics, the broader team. Expectations are really high, very high, and the team is meeting them. Their focus remains on 3 imperatives. They are getting the engineering right, getting the project management right, and getting the business right. We know that it's not plans, but it's projects. It's not PowerPoints, but it's progress. Those are the things that matter. So Scotty and Duran explained to me that just last week, our team sat down They work the portfolio that you're about to review, project by project, detail by detail, identifying constraints, clearing obstacles, and driving decisions. And that's the work it takes in our business every single day, maintaining the pressure because this moment requires it. So what does it mean, Honorable Tell's mantra, building infrastructure, not paperwork? It means that your Army Corps of Engineers is changing how we deliver with discipline. We're building faster, we're cutting unnecessary friction, and we're prioritizing what matters most. Because if everything's a priority, as you know very well, then nothing's a priority. And Congress has granted the Army Corps of Engineers, and we're very grateful for it, much authority to address federal, state, and local issues. Here's what I would like this board and this group here today to know, that Louisiana, you're leading the way. Morganza to the Gulf, West Shore Lake Pontchartrain, Upper Barataria Basin Project to close the gap, Southwest Coastal Louisiana, the Lower Mississippi River Comprehensive Management Study, just to name a few. These are not projects, these are national models. What you're doing here and the work we're doing together today is shaping how the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is doing this across the nation. I've said this before, I'm just a kid from Akron, Ohio. I do have a very famous alumni from Akron, LeBron James. You might have heard of him, but I really didn't understand fully Louisiana when I took command. I have learned a lot in my 3 years, and it's from the relationships like the ones I have with you in this room. And so now I do. Yes, the engineering is incredible. It is simply amazing. The land bridges and the barrier islands, this working river and a working coast. But what makes Louisiana special is the people. So I have something I treasure back in Vicksburg. It's a rock. Yeah, it's a rock. It was given to me by a Louisiana mayor at an ALBL meeting, and it sits on my nightstand, and it reminds me every morning and every night that this work is about the people, communities, a way of life, and it matters. Before I close, I would like to say next Friday, as president of the Mississippi River Commission, we'll be back in Baton Rouge for our fourth and final public hearing of our annual high water inspection trip. This is a tradition we have been doing since 1879, coming to you by river by way of the Mississippi. Our aim is simple of the Mississippi River Commission. It's to listen, inspect, partner, and engineer. And I know I'll see many of you there. I'm sure that your chairman will be here. You always show up. And we dig deeper into the work that's still ahead, with basin level implications for the state and the nation, one of which you just mentioned today. So as I reflect and look forward from my foxhole, I want to leave you with one thing. The best is yet to come. We are not done. This river and our water is going to change. It's going to challenge us. It's living and powerful, and I don't have to tell any of you that in this room. But what it does mean is we must keep building and improving and keep leading. And I would say today, Chairman, members of the board, executive director, friends and teammates in Louisiana, let's build infrastructure, not paperwork. It's been an honor in my career to serve alongside you. The best is yet to come, and your Army is with you. Go Army, go Tigers. Let's move dirt together. I really appreciate the invitation and the time to say a few remarks today. And as I reflected back on our time together, and I yield my time.
And on behalf of the CPRA, the GOCA Board, Governor's Office of Coastal Activities Board, and myself, we thank you and Colonel Otay and Mr. Duran and all the rest of the staff for everything y'all done working with us to move Louisiana along, but from permitting to construction. And I've been doing this for 22 years, and there's a lot being done in Louisiana, still a lot to be done. So with that, I thank you very much. Is there any other comment from the board? Mr. Alford.
thank you so much for your hard work, turning us around, and it really become a tremendous part. We're excited about it. Bill's been hard work, thank you.
Appreciate that.
And you? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much, General, and thank you for everything you've done, and we look forward to working with y'all in the future. Thank you, Colonel, and everything y'all done.
Thank you very much.
Don't be afraid to. And I said, General, I mean Major General, excuse me. Okay, with that, the next item is, CPRA fiscal year 2027, final annual plan of Chapel Alley, a basic annual plan, Michael Hare and Brian Lazina with the CPRA.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, board members and members of the public. Proud to be here with you today to present to you. What you have in front of you is the final annual plan for your consideration and ultimate submittal to our state legislature. As we go through this, it's a little bit of a repeat from our board meeting when we presented this in December, but I just want to thank all of our staff and the hard work for getting us to this point. We do have a few updates in here, which we'll highlight as we go through projects that are actually moving forward in time to get to construction a little bit sooner. And then some additional revenue that we've been able to pull into this. So appreciate the hard work of our staff and some of the others to get us to this point. Let's see this works. Nothing works. That one. All right. Quick update, just as a reminder, we presented this in December. We had our public comments open until February. We are here today presenting to you the final plan, and then we will be submitting this to the legislature tomorrow, or by tomorrow, and then we go before 4 committees and look forward to a successful review and discussion with our legislative leaders. So again, this is really just how we take the master plan and put it into action. So the annual plan this year really just simply details how we implement the master plan on an annual basis, provides the near-term funding opportunities, provides us that authorization that we need to spend, and then we also provide here a 3-year outlook. So really it's the current annual year where we're seeking that authorization and really to build that capacity to be able to deliver projects in this year. Just on the public outreach, we did 3 in-person meetings in Thibodaux, Jefferson, and Abbeville. We also had a public online meeting as well. We received about 313 comments and had over 130 people attend across all 4 of our meetings. I'd say generally the comments we received were overwhelmingly positive. Some were constructive related to several different projects, and certainly our team reviewed those and took those into consideration as we evaluated projects that were being highlighted to us and seeing how we can improve them or move them forward in time. So really appreciate the public's continued engagement in this process. Just quickly, we were able to take a field trip with some of our legislative leaders. In the picture, you'll see Senator Hinskins as well as Senator Lambert. We were able to go out to the West Shore the Moorpaw reintroduction project. It was a great opportunity. We were joined by our colleagues over the Corps of Engineers as well. As the board knows, this project serves both as a part of the guide levy for the West Shore project, as well as that river reintroduction that is serving as the mitigation for it. Impressive to see the work that's been done. Great to see that this is maintaining on schedule. Appreciate our partners that you see there, Pontchartrain Conservancy and others that helps facilitate that meeting for us. And again, I want to thank Senator Hinskins and Representative Representative Boriak, who are both going to be leading our legislation in the legislature this year. I think on the Senate side, it's SB 7, and on the House side, I believe it is HB 1. So appreciate both Representative Boriak and Senator Hinskins for their leadership. As we go through here, a quick reminder, and this is where you'll see one of our first updates, the principal funding sources. I start on the left and kind of work my way to the right. So we've got the recurring revenue from the state, obviously state mineral funds, the state surplus. Appreciate the work we have with DOA and others to continue to afford us the opportunity to draw on some of the surplus. On the federal side, CPRA remains a critical partner. We actually announced a project that was put out, successfully awarded. We'll begin construction using CPRA, and I believe NOAA may have been our partner in funding that as well. And then Go Mesa, and again, thanks to the delegation, our federal delegation, for increasing that cap and giving us greater ability to move projects forward on the protection side. When we cover deep water, I think the board and this public knows it very well. You've got the three buckets there that we continue to work through, and we've got a lot of work still ahead of us on how we draw those funds down and put some restoration plans forward to program those dollars. And then finally, the new source we're putting in here is called coastal settlements. Over the years, there have been some lawsuits that have been settled at the nearest level. Those funds are coming to CPRA, and we're now putting forward to the board a designation in the revenue line item there for the coastal settlements. Again, this is an expression of what we think we can spend out of those funds in this given year. We are not a party to the lawsuits. Obviously, there's several that are still ongoing, and there's a protective order there that governs a lot of what we can and cannot say about it. But I felt very strongly that if we're receiving money as an authority, we needed to have the ability to move it out. So making sure we highlight that here, have the proper controls around it, and then be able to contribute those dollars to meaningful projects is of the greatest importance to me as our entire agency. So you'll see that reflected in, I don't want to name the number, table 20, I believe, but I could be wrong. It's our primary revenue table you'll see there. Again, as you go forward, kind of the same numbers as we had last time, just a little bit of an increase because of the coastal settlement piece and then a few projects that pull forward. But again, FY27 reflects a very healthy spending authority request from this board of $1.5 billion spread across a number of different revenue sources. And again, I just want to try to remind everyone, this is not reflective of the money we're actually bringing in. This is reflective of the money that we have allocated to projects that we think we can actually execute on in a given year. So one big highlight would be Go Mesa, for example, that certainly far exceeds the cap that we would have that of the money coming in this year. Rather, it is actually a reflection of the roll forward, of the carry forward projects that are already slated to go into construction using Go Mesa. So want to be as transparent with it as possible, but this is actually not a reflection of the revenue coming in, or the authority we want to be able to move projects out in this year. Again, very high commitment here to project spending. I think the numbers are still in the upper 90s. When you think through E&D, construction, and O&M, we continue to remain very lean on our operating side and committing our dollars as efficiently as possible to projects. I mean, the numbers moved a little bit as you see when we get down to FY28, 29. 29, the bigger reflection there is some of those settlement dollars we believe we're going to be able to get into early projects in the next 24 months. And that really is what's pushing us closer to $1 billion. So as we go back with more restoration plans to the NERDA, to the TIG, as we continue to work with NIFWIP and secure those funds that are available to us, I think both in 28 and 29, you'll see these numbers continue to grow. Again, just a snapshot. I mean, the board's seen something along these lines. Again, just to highlight, 93% of our expenditures are related to project implementation. I think this very much dovetails what Secretary Tell and what Major General talked about is we want to build projects, not paperwork. And I think this agency was long past the phase of just engineering or just studying for the sake of it. We are really in a full-throated implementation phase. Proud to see that we're going to continue to have this level of impact across our state in a given year. 18 dredge projects to get started, moving about 52 million cubic yards over the life of those projects and creating over 11,000 acres of marsh. And then as we go through this, I'll go quickly. Southwest region, again, very active. 13 projects in construction, 9 in E&D. On this side, we were able to pull in a few new ones because of work from our board members and public comments. So there's a couple that are going into E&D here. South Central, again, an area with 21 in construction, 22 in E&D, and 2 in planning. A robust pipeline of opportunities in this area. And then in Southeast, and I believe it was Southeast, actually, let me make sure I have, we were able to pull one of our projects forward in time to actually get it to construction this year. Yeah, Southeast region, so the Chafuncta Bridge Restoration Project, I believe we thought it was gonna take us another 2 years to get to construction. Our team worked very hard, we found the money, we're able to get it moving in this fiscal year. So we are trying to get things into construction as fast as possible. Again, Southeast continues to represent, or the majority of our investment in our activity is 36 projects in construction, 34 E&D, and 60 planning. And then I'll stop there. I'll turn it to my colleague Brian Lazina for a quick update on the CPRA Basin Plan.
Morning, Chairman and members. Hard to tell if I have the mic on or not, I'm so loud, but there we go. Appreciate it. A little bit of background. We come to you every year with the Atchafalaya Basin Annual Plan that is made a part of CPRA's annual plan. This was really reflective of statute in 2018 that designated the CPRA as the non-federal sponsor for the Atchafalaya Floodway System Louisiana project. So that's a federal project, basically looking at ways to enhance the area between the two guide levees in the floodway system. I will say that while there was a lot of early effort there hasn't been a lot of federal interest within the program to no fault of the folks sitting behind me, and I'll get to that in a minute here. But what we're not doing is sitting on our hands waiting for that. The CPRA has made a commitment to move things out on its own on a state level. So just starting at the bottom, you see one of these things is the Atchafalaya Basin Master Plan. That's something I've mentioned to you before. We're excited to come to you probably in a few months to give you an update on that and some of the projects. But that's certainly a central feature as we try to take a bigger look at the Atchafalaya Basin, kind of separate projects that are from 40 years ago and bring a little more current status to this thing, as well as overall awareness. Like I said, we're also doing this in coordination with a lot of stakeholders, with our partners at the Army Corps of Engineers to feed in to any of those studies so we can look for a federal interest wherever we can. But like I said, we're not sitting by while we're planning. We're also building and putting things on the ground. The picture you see up there is one we were very happy to complete. The Bayou Pigeon Boat Launch Improvements Project. We did a dramatic $2 billion facelift to that. I will say we're out there on the second split for duck season, taking up a few of those ramps. Probably not the best thing to do before the second split, but obviously this, if you're familiar, and we're all about to be with crawfish at this time of year, is probably one of the most highly used launches in the area to do that for wild-caught crawfish within the spillway itself. So some of the projects just to highlight we have for fiscal year 27 are largely around water quality and water management, Grimet Canal improvements, dredging in Big Bayou Pigeon, point and peak flow improvements, Murphy Lake depth restoration, and then East Grand Lake upper region, especially those top 1, 2, 4 there are with multiple sort of reasoning. We want water flowing. It's good for the environment, it's good for the public, it's good for safety, and obviously we want to increase habitat for the wildlife and fishery species that rely on these areas as well. So like I said, we're excited about coming to you in the future to show you updates for that. I thought Bill was going to get the 70-30 on this segment here, but glad he worked that one in already. So, yes, and I will say just a recognition of not only Major General Peoples, but Colonel Otan behind me. I can say he and his staff have made a very large commitment to this area. Obviously, Congress drives the funding and bus on this, but I can tell you right now that he and his team are very passionate about this area, and that's awesome to see. Thank you.
I think that'll lead to my last slide, and if you'll indulge me, I'm just going to actually just back up to this one as I turn it back to you, Mr. Chairman. Some closing comments. I just want to leave this slide on the board. CPRA, for us to be able to deliver 143 projects cannot be done by the incredibly hardworking and dedicated staff within the agency, but rather it is in partnership with the Corps and the leadership sitting right behind me, the levy boards that many of you represent, and our local partners. We do not get to achieve our goals without having those strong working relationships, both at the state, local, and national level. So I appreciate that. Again, I think this represents the influence, the impact, and the vision we have across the entire coast, and it is not done by us solely alone. So I will, if you'll indulge me, I'll just leave it on this slide and I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Chairman, for any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, thank y'all for the report and, Executive Director Hare and Mr. Malazina. And with that is a board discussion. Is there any board members wishing to discuss anything? Welcome, Mr. Davidson. Secretary Davis, excuse me. Okay.
I know I walked in a little bit late, but had a chance to review it before. So again, thank you all for putting this together. Thank you for the great work that y'all have done. Reason I was late, I was over at the Capitol focusing on a hearing discussing the impact of the Iran conflict that's going on right now. Giving an understanding of the issues that we're going to face as citizens as it relates to gas prices, prices of commodities, things like that. You know, as we look at CPRA projects, one of the biggest components of this is going to be fuel, specifically diesel fuel, which we've seen rise over $1 since the conflict started. Seeing the price of just a barrel go from $65 to $100 or so, at 98 closing yesterday. You know, how is that impacting? Have you seen an impact yet? Is this something that y'all are thinking about? You know, I know that it's kind of a quick thing to happen. We hope that it's a short-term shock to the market, but you know, long-term, is there any thought or anything that we could do as the committee to help out with understanding what those impacts are going to be?
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Great question. In fact, it was a part of our chief's meeting yesterday morning. It actually has come up. We're seeing a few projects that are in implementation right now. They're being affected by it, and obviously with our division chiefs, Rudy and Andrew, as they're looking for projects that are going to move forward, we're thinking about the timing of those projects and what we hope may be only a near-term shock to the system. Now, again, we do not want to delay, but we're definitely going to be looking at the markets right now. Is this a near-term shock, or are we going to see maybe some price stability and those prices coming down in the next 30 to 60 days, or is this a longer-term trend? At the end of the day, we're going to adjust in some way, and I think without getting too far ahead on the engineering or the science of it, but we've got limited dollars. Those dollars are committed to a project, and a project may just be a slightly smaller, or maybe we don't get to do the alternative that we would have once thought of. But ultimately, I think our greatest adversary out there is time, and we're not going to sit around and just hope that we see price stability in the fourth quarter of this year. So we'll make some near-term decisions around that, but we've got to get projects moving, and we'll adjust accordingly.
Any other members? Seeing none, public comment? Any members of the public wishing to address this board? Seeing none,
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the resolution approving the FY27 annual plan as it is drafted. And I just want to say thanks to the staff at CPRA for their work putting it together.
President Matt Jewell, and second by Tony Alford. Mr. Alford, there was a motion and a second to adopt resolution approving FY27 annual plan 2026-03-01 as drafted. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? With no further discussion, we will now proceed to vote. We will now proceed to vote to adopt resolution 2026-03-01 of the CPRA fiscal year 2027 final annual plan and the Chapalaya Basin annual plan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Say by saying aye.
Aye.
Any all those opposed, please say nay. It's unanimous. This annual plan of the 2027 CPRA FY annual plan, the Chapalaya Basin plan, is hereby adopted. Thank you, members. And with that, I'd like to commend Executive Director Mike Hare and Mr. Lazina, and I see Mr. Grandi here, and the whole staff of CPRA for really doing a fabulous job. We've got a lot of projects to move forward with on $1.54 billion and $1.2 billion in actual construction. And I want to thank the members of this board for all your input with the projects in each of your basins, which y'all know very well. And this is really moving forward from pump stations to the levee systems to coastal restoration to marsh recreation to land bridges to barrier islands to rocks on barrier islands to segmented breakwater rocks on barrier islands to living reefs. And we thank everyone up here for putting this together. It's a massive plan, and Mike, thank you especially. I know you worked hard on it along with your staff. And I thank you very much that this annual plan is passed. And any other members? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I just like to thank you for your leadership in this project, okay? Without it, we wouldn't make it, and I know you and Mr. Harry have worked hard at it, and thank you for your leadership. Thank you, sir.
Well, and it's so comfortable to have everyone in here that the bases that they represent really help guiding this thing to make sure all projects are going to come in. And I want to thank Governor Jeff Landry. When he took office, his directive to me and Tony Alford, which is the Coastal Advisory Chairman, to make sure that Louisiana is represented in projects from the west to the east, and that we cover pump stations, we cover levees, we cover anything these coastal parishes needed. And I think it was well put together. I mean, you have a 92-mile levee in Craig Romero's district from Vermilion to St. Mary Parish. And of course, you've got Moganza, and you've got land bridges in Breton Sound, land bridges in Barataria, land bridges in Terrebonne Bay, along with Southwest Louisiana. Of course, the Calcasieu huge project over there, along with Rocks and Rockefeller, and I could go on and on. Of course, the U job, which was awarded to the Chandeleur Island, which is a third of the island, but it's a start and well put together. And I want to thank everyone here. It's been a long journey this year to get all these projects in, balance the books, and they did it. So thank y'all. And let's give a hand of applause to Mike Hand and his group from CPRA. When the governor took Glenn LeDay and put him over at DOT, I was very happy for Glenn, but I wasn't too happy for me because I didn't know who I was going to get. But Mike had more than stepped up to the plate. Mike, it's an honor working for you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
So thank y'all very much, gentlemen. And FY 2026 Parish Batching Awards, Joseph Johnson.
Thank you, board members, for allowing me to present parish matching announcements today.
Thank you, General. Thank you, Colonel.
All right, I'll try again.
Okay, the Parish Matching Award, Joseph Johnson, CPRA.
Yep, thank you. Thank you, board members, for allowing me to present the parish matching announcement today. My name is Joe Johnson, project manager of parish matching program. And today, we'll go over closer. Sorry. I'll start with a brief introduction to the program, recap what's happened in the past couple of years, then get into the highlights of what parishes will now be in the parish matching program. This is distinctly different from the Restore Parish Matching Project. Speak up a little bit. Sorry. Parish matching program of years past. This program has been active for the past 3 years. So the purpose of this program is to support projects that align with the CPRA's master plan with our coastal parishes, directly supporting parish-led projects, leveraging funds such as federal, local, and private that they may have. And this year we have a total of $6 million in Gomez Mesa funds for restoration and resilience work. In the past 2 years, CPRA has put $13 million into the program, and our match from our parishes is $35.6 million at this time. That money has gone to different project types. We have a total of 13 projects. In the lead right now is shoreline protection, terracing, followed by hydrologic restoration, and integrated, which is more than one of these restoration and protection features. Plantings, marsh creation, and non-structural follow that. And non-structural is referring to home elevations in Jefferson Parish. For FY25, some recent successes, we have Highway 1 terracing in Lafourche Parish, which is 19,000 linear feet of constructed terraces, and this will be planted before project closeout. And we have Mandeville Lakefront on the right here, which is a good example of an integrated project, where we have shoreline protection on the front, a water control structure to the far right. The canal is dug out, and that beneficial reused material was used to create a marsh platform in front of a cypress swamp. So how we got here today for the notifications for parish matching, we started a request for proposal in September. We allowed parishes 3 months to submit their proposals. We used these evaluation metrics to come up with these selections today. I will shout out our team. We have Brian Lianza, Wes LeBlanc, Rachel Bonney, Scott Demerel, and our legal teams, Chris Barnes and Ashley Plunkett. And after today, we'll start the implementation process with getting contracts signed and timelines for construction. For this year's decisions, we had 9 parishes submitting a total of 11 projects, totaling $19 million in requests. We encouraged the parishes that were not selected to move forward when possible with those projects. All the projects were good and valid. This year we had $6 million, and we chose to partner with 6 parishes. Here's the list of parishes. We have starting off with Ascension Parish with Bayou Terrace Hydrologic Connection, receiving $1.9 million. Jefferson Parish of terrace plantings of $715,000. Lafourche Parish, Golden Meadow Marsh Creation Phase 2 of $1.25 million. St. Bernard Parish, Lake Erie Marsh Creation Phase 2 for $1 million. St. Charles Parish, the Solomons Bulkhead Project Phase 2 for $1 million. And Terrebonne native planting to increase terrace field stability of $105,000. That brings our new total from CPRA to $19 million and our match of $43.6 million. I'll leave this up on the map for a little bit to get everyone oriented then with the project locations within the parish. This year we have a improvement along the coast of hydrologic restoration, restoring roughly 4,000 acres of forested wetland from Amy to Maurepas with culvert improvements. Flood protection of 710 linear feet with this on this project. Marsh creation of Golden Meadow and Lake Erie combined of 150 acres of marsh creation, and terrace stabilization via vegetative plantings over 69,000 linear feet. With that, I will declare the parishes that are now in the parish management program for fiscal year 2026, and I'll yield back my time.
Excuse me, any questions, member? Seeing none, thank you very much. And the next one is a federal update from Neil McMillan with DOTD and CPRA.
Thank you, Chairman. It's great to be invited up here today. Let's see. Well, today I just wanted to survey some news from some federal agencies that will have resonance for the coastal program. And I'm kind of personally relieved that Major General had some other engagements because I was going to talk about building infrastructure, not paperwork, in front of the Corps, which made me a little nervous. But I think it's actually very impactful, so I want to dive into the slogan and I guess the meat behind the slogan, as well as some updates from the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management and Department of Homeland Security. So this is the building infrastructure, not paperwork mantra y'all heard, and it was released in February, and there's 27 sub-initiatives in here, grouped in these 5 categories, trying to deliver national infrastructure, cut red tape, improve efficiency, transparency, prioritization. And I guess most administrations want to improve at least most of these. But there's, like I was saying, there's some meat to these based off the implementation memos. So I wanted to discuss how it could benefit coastal or create some challenges. So kind of on the first side, on maximizing the ability to deliver national infrastructure, there is a focus on project labor agreements that we've talked about before this board before. And so the administration clearly supported project labor agreements, and that's something that we've had significant heartburn about in Louisiana. But beneficially, they create a lot more exceptions to get out of that requirement from the Biden administration to kind of fit areas where it doesn't have maybe the union presence that's comparable. So while that's still in the books and still a priority, it looks like that should be adaptable to a state like Louisiana. The Corps wants to improve design maturity. And so a question is, does this mean that they study things much longer and we don't get to move to construction? Secretary Tell wants to maintain the 3x3, the 3 years, $3 million authorization for feasibility studies, with very rare exceptions to grant another year. And so that's kind of, that'll be interesting to see how that plays out, since they're like, well, we want to design to a higher level, but keep it in the same time. They may do some contracting out to help them on that. On the non-federal interests, so the non-federal sponsors, they want to use more capabilities. And so Louisiana in particular has been interested in 203 studies, but also 1043, the ability to have non-federal sponsors contribute their expertise to a greater degree. For years, the Corps has not liked 1043. The Secretary has endorsed the concept through this proposal, and that's something that CPRA is actively working with on certain projects. So it's nice to see that support from the top there. And then shifting to the red tape, one thing of interest is they want to have mitigation banking more used for navigation projects. So have mitigation banks be the first option instead of doing the core constructed mitigation. So that probably creates some interesting opportunities for beneficial use, particularly as we always want to use the resource in the Mississippi River. And then on Clean Water Act permitting, they want to come up with a geospatial tool to show the jurisdictional waters within maybe a meter of resolution. And so if they're able to achieve that, that could greatly reduce kind of subjectivity. And so that's something that as we move forward will be really impactful as we kind of understand our mitigation costs. So on efficiency, a couple of interesting things is one, the Secretary wants the Corps to stop advocating for projects that aren't budgeted for. And so that's something that's, I guess we're going to have to navigate, because the President's budget, in particular last year, had very few coastal projects in it. It had a little for Organza, and that was basically it. So how, in the past, the district will, kind of communicate to the Congress and the non-federal sponsor what their core capability is and how they could take action if there was, I guess, bonus funds to the Corps, which kind of resulted in Congress really choosing which projects to go forward and constraining the ability for the Corps to really select their priorities. So we'll see how that instruction to stop advocating for these projects plays out. I know Congress still wants to have the ability to choose these projects. So I guess that underscores the need for us to have alignment with the Corps in budgeting and kind of avoid that problem for our projects. And then the last one on this efficiency that's really important is smarter real estate acquisition. This is going to be really important for the Mr. Go project and other large-scale marsh creation projects that have a lot of land that's privately held. It seems like they channeled David Peterson on this, saying let's use the minimum interest. Let's not have to do fee title. Let's use the non-federal sponsor's perspective on what's reasonable on real estate acquisition. That can be a very good thing and help drive costs down if they're able to operationalize that. So that's one of my favorites for coastal. And then on transparency, they want to show salary separate from project line costs. So that'll be very interesting. I've heard anecdotally that, are too many people on the Zoom call when we could be, charging the account. So they're trying to bring some transparency there, which will be helpful because as the non-federal sponsor, we have to cost share a percentage of whatever the Corps spends. So whatever they're able to drive down costs, that's going to help our bottom line as well. They also want to reemphasize the ability to deauthorize projects. Of course, tried to do this in the past, but one new element they've added is for costs that have for projects that have tremendous cost increases. So, kind of the ability to cut the cord if the benefits aren't worth the cost there. So that's something we should watch, as well as any project over a decade that hasn't really got to construction. I think of Alexandria to the Gulf study. They kind of want to remove those abilities. So we need to, if it's a priority, we need to get funding there to make sure that the Corps doesn't deauthorize that. And then on prioritization, I guess the biggest takeaway is they want the district commanders to be more empowered and to go into Army mode more frequently. But to do so would be on a smaller amount of projects. So this month, the district has submitted their top 5 projects to the division commander. So Major General Peoples got from each per divisions their top 5. And last week, she sent up, along with other commanders or generals, their top 20 to the chief of engineers. And later this month, he'll release top 20 projects nationwide. And so that's really trying to constantly keep, to make prioritization actually tangible. And so we'll have to find out if some of our coastal projects made that cut and received those kind of focused benefits. So that's the initiative. I guess you'd call this initiative from the Corps, the new Corps leadership that's been ongoing since last year, but we haven't really discussed it, is the pause of non-structural feasibility studies. So non-structural are these solutions like flood-proofing, home elevations, voluntary buyouts that are increasingly being recommended as a way to address different flood risk that's dispersed over a large area or maybe a lower value property area, and just find tailored solutions for homeowners. And Louisiana's been one of the early adopters of this in our studies. They've instituted a strategic pause. That's kind of the term they're using, so they can learn from us. Really, there's 2 pilot programs, major ones. There's Fire Island in New York, and Southwest Coastal in Louisiana, and so there's been a lot of learning as the Corps learned to engage with these property owners and try to elevate them kind of one by one. And I'll say that from the testimony, the Secretary Tell is really skeptical. He's that the Corps is the right person, the right entity to do these efforts. Not that they aren't worthwhile in the federal interest, but are they the right agency to do so? Especially for these large-scale ones where we have thousands, and that's the primary focus of a project. He is supportive of having some as like a associated part of a structural project. And so some of the projects that are in our strategic pause are Tangipahoa, Amite River tributaries, and Lafitte. So they are, but one of the benefits is when they learn how to drive down cost, then they can authorize these projects with the learnings incorporated and not these really high numbers from the first efforts. And so Congress has a lot to say about that, of course. And so this is a draft going around DC that will probably find its way into WRDA 2026. So the ranking member, the lead Democrat in this effort, Senator Whitehouse, that you'll probably remember from working the RISE Act, He has this Elevate Act. And if you want the Corps to really embrace non-structural initiatives, I guess this would be a very good bill for you. It makes it a lot more financially advantageous to non-federal sponsors and to the homeowners, like cost shares go down, and the eligible project costs like utility repairs, getting your property up to code, displacement while your home has been worked on, those could become project costs. So that would, I guess, expand the amount of people that could participate in this. And what's also interesting is that if this bill was enacted as written, changes would be retroactive to all non-structural. So our Southwest Coastal wouldn't be relatively punished for being an early lead in this. So we'll see kind of, I guess the Corps and Congress are wrestling with the non-structural mission, and that's certainly something we propose in our master plan as a state, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And then on the funding side, there's a new bill that was introduced in February that's of, I guess, great interest to us, depending on, I guess there's kind of pros and cons, I guess, from Louisiana State. So the bill is called the Coastal Trust Fund Act and tries to replicate what the Corps used for the harbor maintenance, which is to have a dedicated trust fund so that there's consistent budgeting for projects instead of, pleading poverty. And so this has really come from the Northeast, where they have a lot of federal beaches that they want to re-nourish periodically, and they feel like they never get funding for beach re-nourishment unless there's a disaster. So they're trying to get some consistency in funding, and I know we can empathize with that of being kind of disaster dependent for major funding. It would dedicate $1 billion a year indefinitely from offshore energy revenues to this project. So most of that's generated obviously in the Gulf, will go nationwide for coastal. So I think that's a very large number and could provide less room for GOMESA to grow in the future. But at the same time, it's very, it could bring a lot of funding that's currently on the sidelines in Treasury back to us. So as you see, CPRA is a sponsor to at least 14 projects that are eligible for this type of work. So this funding will go to the Corps side. It would not go like GOMESA to the state and locals, but it could solve that budgeting potential. So this is a big request. They'll probably have to really sell it for a few years, but it's something that we can probably take advantage of if it comes there. But it reminds me that we need to fix GOMESA as well, because people are always looking at that revenue source to fund their priorities. And then lastly, speaking of revenue, through GOMESA, I want to look at the recent Gulf of America lease sales and kind of see how much funding is coming in. There's been 2 lease sales under the Trump administration. The first one in December was pretty large, $300 million in high bids. The one earlier this week was very small, about $47 million. And both of those numbers are lower than the 2 conducted in the Biden era. The reason those were kind of more valuable in the Biden era was because there was such a uncertainty that there would be options, and the Corps was making those advantageous. So there was kind of like a fear factor, if you will, from the industry. And now that there's guaranteed leasing twice a year for the next 15 years, and even a reduced royalty rate, the industry is a little more calm about it, a little more strategic, so it's kind of taking some of their pressure off. So, I guess there's, from a revenue side, that maybe that's less revenue available per lease sale, but there's more certainty that that's a long-term option for us, so it's kind of a mixed bag. But overall, I'd rather there be lease sales than not when it comes to GOMESA being so fundamental for us as a coastal program. And lastly, there's been some change at the Department of Homeland Security. President Trump's announced his first cabinet change, and Secretary Noem will be kind of more focused on the immigration side from a new role at the State Department. And where this had been I guess a source of consternation for many members in Congress and states was FEMA had been really delayed over the past year and a half because every expenditure over 100,000 had to go through the Secretary of Homeland Security, and there's like obviously a lot of attention on immigration and stuff that FEMA bookkeeping probably wasn't top priority every single day, and I know CPRA experienced that with West Bell Headland reimbursement taking well over 6 months longer than anticipated. Senator Mullen of Oklahoma is nominated. He's going to have a lot of support, and I think one of the things he's going to commit to today, as he's testifying and in the future, is really getting FEMA dollars out the door fast, which is something that President Trump wanted to do for North Carolina, of course, but really wasn't being seen in action. So, we haven't had a large FEMA hurricane disaster under the Trump administration yet, and hopefully we don't, but it does seem like FEMA will probably get a lot more responsive under the new leadership. I guess that's the current consensus. We'll see if that actually comes to fruition. And with that, happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, members? Any questions? Okay, thank you very much. Great job as usual. And next we have the Coastal Day 2026 branding with CPRA.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. It's a pleasure to be here and give you an update on what I consider the most wonderful day of the year, which of course is Coastal Day, coming up Monday, March the 30th. So just a day at the glance, if you take a look at the schedule, from 8 to 11 a.m., we've got the Coastal Connect, which will be a business networking and matchmaking event at the LSU Center for River Studies. So this event is led by our partners at CTAC, the Coastal Technical Assistance Center. You may remember Ms. Paige Gisclair, who came and presented to you last month on CTAC, but also Apex Accelerator will be assisting with that event. This is an event meant to provide an opportunity for businesses to network with each other, but also to engage with organizations that support businesses. CPRA will be there, the Corps of Engineers will be there, Louisiana Department of Economic Development, the Small Business Administration. From 9 to 10:30, we'll have speed dating that'll be part of that event. So primes and subs, both on the construction side, but also on the consulting side, have an opportunity to meet with each other and build teams for the projects that are coming in the future. Later that day, from 1 to 2 o'clock, we'll have a briefing in the governor's press room at the state capitol. We have, I think, a very exciting program for that day that will go on. At 2 o'clock after that briefing, there'll be outreach to legislators down in Memorial Hall. From 2:30 to 4 o'clock at the Galvez building in the Oliver Pollock room, we'll have an open house on the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, and I'll have another slide that'll cover that a little bit later, but that's from 2:30 to 4 o'clock. Galvez building, so adjacent to where DEQ's offices are in the Oliver Pollock room. From 3 to 5 in this room right here, CPRA will provide an update on our coastal construction project forecast. We've got 11 projects that'll be reviewed. As Chairman Hare discussed a little bit earlier on slide 10 of his presentation, we estimate with the annual plan this year that the $1.5 billion investment will lead to over 10,800 jobs. So this provides an opportunity for businesses to see what we have forecast and also to receive input from them on our projects. At 5 o'clock, everything will move to the Pentagon Barracks with the crawfish boil and reception, sponsored by our friends at Coast Builders Coalition and the Coalition to Restore Coastal Louisiana. But everything doesn't finish on Monday. On Tuesday, we have partner-led presentations. So we have over 23 projects from 8 partners that we'll review on Tuesday at 2 o'clock. That'll be a virtual opportunity again for businesses to see what levy districts, parishes, NGOs, or others are working on, and that'll be Tuesday, the 31st at 2 o'clock. So just to review that one item about the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, this will be the annual meeting for the Louisiana Trustee Implementation Group, the TIG. That'll be from 2:30 to 4. It'll be open house style. It won't just be the TIG that'll be there. We'll also have representatives from the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, NFWF, and we'll have representatives from the Restore Council that will be there to attend the open house, provide information, answer any questions on projects that have been constructed or projects that are in the pipeline in engineering and design, in construction, in monitoring or adaptive management with funds in the settlement of the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. But the excitement isn't just on Monday and Tuesday. Next week, actually, we've got a dream team of presenters that will be providing webinars during your lunchtime. So your assignment this weekend, go to the store, get a big jar of peanut butter and jelly and some bread. That way you can be at your desk every day at noon and see these presentations. One of the objectives in the Coastal Master Plan, one of the 5 objectives, is harnessing natural processes to restore coastal wetlands. So this is basically working with Mother Nature instead of against Mother Nature to restore coastal wetlands. So our first presentation will be by Dr. Mike Miner of the Water Institute, and he'll be talking about those natural processes, the water, sediment, nutrients, but also aeolian processes. So that'll be from 12 to noon, and these presentations will be live. So if you do join us, if you want to have questions or comments, you can email us at coastal@la.gov, and we'll get to your comments. If we can't get to them all in that 1 hour, we'll try to email you back. There's a QR code. Tuesday, we'll have Danielle Rishardi from our New Orleans field office will be giving an update on the Davis Pond freshwater diversion. Wednesday, Brian Gossman will give a presentation on crevasses, land building diversions in the Mississippi River Delta. Thursday, landscaping a better coast terraces is a restoration tool. Vern Wood from our Lafayette office, and Natalie Mathern from our New Orleans office. And then, I lost the slide there, but on Friday, we'll have Elizabeth Gerald and Darren Lee. Elizabeth's in our New Orleans field office. She'll be talking about some gapping projects, one that we built on the east side of the river in the Barataria Basin, and one over the Haiti River diversion on the west side. And then Darren Lee will be talking about capturing sand, the aeolian transport of sand to build dunes and vegetating those dunes on Friday, and we'll have those. All of these, if you need more information on the times and the dates and how to connect to them, if you go to our website, coastal.la.gov, on the right side of the panel on calendar, all these different events, you can find out the schedule and the links to those for the virtual events or the places for the in-person events. If you would like to register for the Coastal Connect event, LouisianaCTAC.org. You can register for the event as a general person. If you want to be part of the speed dating, you can register for that as well right there. So very excited, appreciate the staff who's worked hard, particularly Rudy Semino and his staff that have put together the presentation for the CPRA projects that are going to bid. Again, that will be in this room, 3 to 5 o'clock on Monday the 30th. And all of our partners who have coordinated on their projects that they have going to bid in the next 18 months. So we can get this information in front of contractors so we can put folks to work building these other projects for us. With that said, Mr. Chairman, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you for the informative presentation. Any questions, members? Any questions? Then I thank you very much. And now we go into public comment. And we have one card. Doug Digg with LA Hypoxia Working Group. Mr. Digg.
Thank you. I'm Doug Daigle, the coordinator of the Louisiana Hypoxia Working Group. We're a monthly forum housed at LSU. And I've talked to you all before about the importance of continuing and increasing the funding that the Hypoxia Action Plan gets. And right now we're in the congressional appropriations request period. And I wanted to let you know that we have friends upriver who are working to get more funding for the Hypoxia Action Plan. The Upper Mississippi River Basin Association, which are 5 states, and this is a congressionally authorized association that the governors of those states coordinate on. And they have been submitting appropriations requests to Congress for a Gulf hypoxia program, which is part of the action plan, and it's a part that was developed by our delegation. And it uses infrastructure bill money from 2022 to go to the states on the task force to carry out their part of the action plan. And I've mentioned too that it's a modest amount of money. It's $60 million spread over 5 years. We're coming to the end of that funding period. What's going to happen? Well, they are stepping in to try to keep the funding coming in FY27, which we're heading into. And this money, this funding is the first direct funding from Congress to the 12 states, one of which is ours, since the action plan was signed back in 2001. So it shows you there's been a real lag in the support that this plan has gotten. But I want to give them credit and certainly encourage us to do our part. I am in contacting our delegation, so that they know that this is something that needs support. And I've asked you all to whatever you could do, appropriately to let them know that you support the action plan will be very helpful as well.
Thank you very much, and keep educating everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, seeing that the last public comment, no more public comments. Motion adjourned, open, unanimous second. And thank you, this meeting is adjourned, and we have an annual plan on the way. Thank you.